We might actually be back now. Hello?
Are we? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
we are. We are.
yeah, we're back. We're back. I mean, would you all expect anything less than just start right off the bat with an absolute scuff stream?
Nice.
But anyway, yeah, Alex, welcome. This is the one we're gonna upload. So,
Nice.
oh God, can
Hello,
I get a
everybody.
Can I get a refund? No, no refunds, unfortunately. You know what you signed up for, which is just
Final
essentially
sale, dude.
scuff. Final
Yeah,
sale, no
final
trade,
sale.
no takebacks. But
Easy,
yeah,
easy, dude.
but we were saying though, I think Alex was one of the first people in the keyboard hobby to I don't know if acknowledge is the right word, but you were one of the first people to I think like take notice, and then I think we became friends pretty quickly after that.
Oh, dude, I remember that. Okay, so what happened was I think I was like new to streaming too, but there wasn't many people streaming at the time, and my Discord was getting like in my eyes like pretty good, pretty big. And someone's like, "Alex, you gotta check this guy on TikTok out. His name's Manoli." I was like, "Okay, let me go check him out." And then I like said something, and then you were like really happy that I said something in TikTok, and then we were best friends from there.
Yeah, that's about right. I'm making your webcam bigger as you're talking and just making you look as scuffed as possible. So forgive me. But yeah, I remember. I think it was the keyboard I made for one of my friends. I think, and you were the first key. You were like the only. So it was you, Teja, and Minterly were I think the first three people that I started like keeping up with.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you streamed for a little bit. I only knew you from TikTok.
Oh,
And I'm like, oh my
really?
god! I'm like, oh my god! Another dude who makes keyboards on TikTok. I'm like, this guy's sick. I'm like, look at this. I'm like, I don't even know what any of this is. I didn't know what GMK was. I didn't know what any. I bought a GMK set, and I didn't think I knew what GMK was.
I
I
think the
threw
majority of things that I did on TikTok was like
a lot of keycaps. I remember that.
was artisans. Yeah, because it was weird because I was at work one day and I was just posting on TikTok for fun, and the one day I wore my Apple Watch to work. My Apple Watch just kept like vibrating. I'm like, what is wrong with this thing? So I got like annoyed and I was like, what is it? And it's like a TikTok notification. I'm like, TikTok, TikTok, what's going on? So I went on my phone. I'm like, oh, one of my TikToks is getting like lots of likes. And it was like, I guess the first video that went viral.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so interesting because it was just like took off out of nowhere because I hadn't even touched TikTok in like 2 weeks at that point.
And just
So
and the algorithm just picked it up out of nowhere.
yeah, I was like, all right, cool,
Yeah,
thanks.
I think my first. Well, that was like I built the TikTok. I built my first keyboard because I was bored during quarantine. I had nothing like. I think I'd always like keyboards, but I never like dove in just for like financial reasons. So I'm like, all right, I got money saved up. I got nothing. No, like I think everyone picked up. Most people started baking. I instead went for expensive pieces of aluminum. But
Why
um,
not?
that one blew up. My first one blew up, and then I made another one that did well. And I'm like, I literally think I commented. I'm like, hope at Alexotos notices this because I just didn't like. I'm like, this seems like a reasonable thing to do,
Well,
and
and that's the
I
funny
guess
part.
it
I think
worked.
I think someone had saw that and went to go like talk to me like, you have to go comment on this.
I
I was like,
remember see,
okay.
I remember you following, and I told my dad, I'm like, holy shit, this guy Alex Odos. I think he's like the biggest guy for keyboards on TikTok. And then I realized you Twitch stream too, and I found your Instagram. And then it was just like after that, like, yeah, we just became like friends at that. I remember Reach when like I started getting a little bit more of a following on Twitch. I was like panicking. I'm like, I didn't think this would happen. I think I messaged you on Discord. I'm like, yo, can we
Yeah,
like talk? I'm like, 'cause I don't
yeah,
know
we
what
did, we did.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, we did. And then I think you were taking notes. It was really
I,
funny.
I have those notes. I don't know. I think that journal is at work right now, but I had literally there's a page in my notebook that is like interview or conversation with Alex. It's just notes on what I should do, or like I guess like things I should focus on. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's all history from there. Happily married for a year now. It's
Oh
been
yeah.
good. It's been good growth.
Oh yeah. 3 kids. Yeah.
If I 3 kids,
All
two
potatoes.
all potatoes. 2 boys and a girl though. 2 boys and a girl.
Yeah, yeah. You can tell with potatoes.
Have either of y'all had a moment where someone on the streets has recognized you from the internet? Absolutely not. Not even once. The
I
day.
think I think the keyboard hobby, like even though I will say from a creator standpoint, we have it a lot. And I'll be honest, I think truthfully, if you can set yourself apart enough with keyboards, it's relatively easy to get like a little bit of a kickstart with keyboards in terms of like viewership. And by that I mean like more than 15. Um, and which can snowball. We've seen it happen a few times with keyboard streamers, and I think that's because the community is so tight knit. With that being said, like I'd be very hard pressed to say that there's a lot of like random people cycling through the streams. I think it's the majority of the same community, so which still narrows it down to not a lot of people. Um,
I feel
and by that, I don't think people would recognize us.
I feel like it's like a lot of it's like most of these people like anyone like I talk to like I have I'd say most people are regulars in my stream, like not too many like you said, like not like a lot of people like cycling through. It's usually like the same crowd, and like
Yeah.
a lot of the, like half these people I consider friend. Like I feel like it's not like really like a celebrity, it'd be more like, oh yo, you're Manoli, right? You build keyboards, and then like I couldn't see it being like, I feel like it'd be a very like casual like, oh, let's talk about keyboards thing then
Yeah, yeah.
anything weird. At least like that's how I'd see it. Like this hobby's like everyone's accessible. It's not like anyone's like superstar. You know what I mean? Like everyone's pretty. I think like everyone's pretty like down to earth on the same level. Like whether you're big, small, or just like someone who likes
Mostly
keyboards.
everyone, yeah. Mostly
Yeah,
everyone for sure.
don't get me wrong.
But
I'm sure there's
what's
I'm sure there's exceptions, but
yeah, as with anything. But
yeah,
I think even in my case, like I don't know anyone in Toronto who does this stuff. You know, that's
I guess
all.
yeah. There's a couple people in the upper in a lot we I think everyone knows a lot of LAers, but there's a couple of New York people. I got Mr. Sam Pack close by, Mr. VR.
Yeah, which is cool because if you guys ever do something, you guys can like all meet up and stuff. But for me, it's like no Toronto people. This sucks.
No Toano.
No Toronto.
Dude, you want to move to New York? I can make room for you. I got a couch. I got an air mattress. You can share the bed with me. I don't say no.
Ooh, good. I want
Whatever
a
you
water
want, man.
mattress.
We can find that. If there's a place you could find it, it'd probably be New York. It might be one from like the 80s that has some questionable history, but I'm sure it exists.
I don't want to know.
No, you don't want it. It's the fun of it. It's the mystery.
No, I'm good without mystery. Brett asked, "How's my Cavs game?" It's weak.
He got all the height.
Manoli,
He got all the height,
listen,
and I got all the calves.
Manoli has the Cavs, dude. You know what? Actually, you want to hear a funny story that I've never told anybody?
I've no
Not even
idea. I don't know where
Not
this
even
is
you?
going from the start of this.
Okay, okay. So, dude, when you first started on TikTok, you had a mustache, and during me and Minterly's charity stream, I was like, I guess since no like Manoli Visuals on TikTok has a mustache, I can make this one of my like goals. So you are the reason I have the mustache.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That
Wax
was
the
like
stash? No.
no. So I don't know. So everyone thinks it means wax off the stash. Is that like what went through your mind? Like
Yeah.
wax it off?
Oh,
No.
they
So
want me to wax it and
so
twirl
that
it
was
and
so
stuff?
that was my like when I first started streaming. If you were like if you like really remember, that was like an OG because I shaved it I shaved my mustache in I think end of July. So it was only a couple streams. Like if you were here from like July, you were like you saw it. But there were a few streams where one of my reward goals was wax a stash because I would grow it out. I would curl it on stream with mustache wax.
Oh.
But there were a couple people that were like, I remember they were like, "Oh my god, wax your stash. It's pretty painful. Like it's a pretty small goal. Because it wasn't a lot of points because it's a pretty casual thing." They're like, "Wow, you're really just gonna wax off your mustache on stream for 1,000 channel points?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. it's not what I'm doing at all."
desperate, yes. I
Calves
beg
and
you. I'll change it to
mustache.
one bit.
I remember I was away. I couldn't do, but I remember who was it? Max. Max after the Movember one. He reached out. I wasn't able to do it. I was away at visiting family. But everyone the mustachio talk when I was just growing. I just left the mustache for a while. But you and me were riding that wave for a bit. You still are, and you look fantastic.
It's much more like tame now though. Like if anyone
Oh
remembers
yeah.
last year, it was like thick, dude.
I didn't shave it like lengthwise until I got my deviated septum fixed. So I had I guess one of the shave for it. I ended up just going clean shaven. That's like the first time I've ever like trimmed down length, I would
Yeah.
shave my like kind of like you would. I would go my beard low, and just I would like get rid of like I guess like the stray bits on the end and in front of my lip, but I wouldn't like take down like the thickness of it. So I always had a thick boy mustache until probably like a month ago, and now I just keeping it all even for the first time in a year and a half. But the do you know why I did the mustache?
No.
So I don't know if you saw this one. The whole reason I did the mustache in the first place. It's one kind of two reasons. One kind of the same reason as my hair, because I had short hair for probably the last 6 years, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be indoors for the entire awkward period when my hair is looking like when I start looking like Coconut Head from Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. For anyone who remembers that show, I look
I do.
exactly
Yeah.
like him during that awkward period, like the middle phase. Um, and then I'm like, you know what? I can grow my mustache. I didn't grow my mustache in probably the same like 6 7 years, but I specifically did it because there was the JoJo pose TikTok trend where everyone was like dressing up as like anime characters or like streamers
Okay.
and they'll like do the poses. Well, I did it for Mario in like full cosplay, shaved everything but my mustache, and after
What?
that, I
See
just
that?
kept it. That's an old.
For some reason, I feel
That
like
was
I've
pre
seen that.
keyboard. That was pre keyboard Noli. Like that was like
Okay.
because the whole reason I started doing TikTok was because I just needed sanity. Like 'cause I needed something to cake my mind off the fact that I was going to be in a pandemic for 6 months. So I just started posting the comedy and like edit ones every day, and then the keyboard one took off, and I leaned into it. But I'm like, I was kind of psyched that it was at least like leaning into something that I enjoy doing. 20 quid, 12 months. By God,
Jeez,
thank you.
a
A
year.
year, an entire
Damn.
year, 12 months.
So,
I feel awful.
so I guess I have a question for you then. You said like you leaned into keyboards. Um, because you leaned in at a time where I think m- keyboards were starting to get a little bit more like media presence and people wanted to get on like keyboard content and stuff, but it wasn't like too crazy yet. Would you say that more people who lean in now are kind of following a trend?
It's actually funny you've asked this. I haven't really like talked too much about this, but it's something I've noticed for sure. I'd say I feel like, and I don't want to like sound like I'm like I definitely don't think I'm like I have had like that much of an influence on it, but I think at least from a TikTok perspective, I'd say it was Yumi and Tiny were like the three
Hmm.
people that were like the early board for keyboards because it's a lot of from what I've this is like the process I've noticed. Not that I don't care, like, I don't care at all. I think it's awesome personally, but it was the only other people doing keyboard stuff were people doing like pre-built keyboards, like your GK61s, like that whole train. It was a lot of tech talkers, where Banggood was sending them out because Banggood had reached out to me. I decided to choose all the instead of going for a GK61. I'm like, oh, they have PCBs cases when I was early in the hobby, and then well, it was all dog shit. So I never contacted them again, and I didn't even do anything for them because they're selling a garbage product.
You know,
Um,
Banggood, some you never reached out to me, Banggood. How come?
they know
Still
better
waiting.
because they know better.
Still waiting, Banggood.
At least I didn't say anything. See, like that's the blessing in disguise. At least I didn't say anything, like make any content like bagging it. But he but they that was kind of like you didn't see like custom keyboards really. There weren't a lot of us out
Yeah.
there. And then I think a lot of tech talkers, and like I said, this isn't me like throwing shade or anything, but a lot of like the tech scene I think saw like custom keyboards like this is really interesting. Like I think like because everyone was just reviewing the same like whatever product Banggood was sending out at the time, where there's like now that there's a whole other side against keyboards, it's really interesting. And then I'd say around like the fall, like late fall, is where I started like seeing like a lot of like dedicated keyboard people on TikTok, which I think it's cool. There's a lot of people out there that like it seems like this hobby is like reached out to in the last year. Like I'd say I got in the hobby like heavily in like April. That's like when I built my first one, and it's insane how different it is now than
Yep.
it was 12 months ago, 13 months ago, whatever. Um,
I think that hobbies changed more in the sense like growth aside. I think that it's grown so big. I mean like content growth. It's grown so big to the point now where it's tough. Like today I went to pick up GMK Ashes and I saw the extras go live, go to the website, put in my cart. I don't even literally the page hadn't even I don't even know how people were express checkouting that fast, but it was gone. And
really,
yeah, and I was just like, that's great. Like there goes another keycap set I might have to spend $350 on. But I think that that's the side of the hobby that's still like stunted in a lot of ways. And I know vendors are doing their absolute best to keep things in stock. Um, but it's just tough. Like I know for me right now, like the alternative is enjoy PBT sets. And I'll go on like Divinity and pick up like an ABS EPBT set for like $70, and I'll be complete. I'm completely content with it. But the GMK stuff, like the more stylized, like colorful stuff with good quality legends, etc. I think people are starting to feel a little bit burned by the wait times, and I think that's kind of like the growth of hobby that I've seen. Aside from content creation, is the burn for wait times.
It's I like agree with it. It's that's like something like I've been like thinking about a lot, at least like even for my own set. Because Evil Eye's not gonna run till end of quarter 1 next year. And like in my head, like it's already gone through my head. I'm like I've already sworn off GMK group eyes until they fix their lead times. I just got in on Earth Tones, and then I want to get in on Soya Milk. Those are two sets I really really like, and I know I'm gonna want in a year and a half. But after that, like there's so many sets I've gone in on. Like we've talked about it before, but there's a lot of sets I've gone in on that I'm not even like going to be keeping. Like I already know I'm going to be selling them off because I already regret. Like it was like an impulsive decision. Like but the fact that like I'm like worried like how deep like how sick of GMK the hobby's going to be by like the time my set runs. Like that's
Yeah,
already something like I've thought about. It's they recently I saw yesterday. I don't remember who posted. It may have been Frank. Found the comment. I think it was GMK Moomin's Reddit post, but someone, a representative from GMK. I'm hoping it's legit. They're saying that hopefully, like, take mine. This probably won't happen for a year, but they're hoping they can get their lead times down to 14 weeks. Which, can you imagine getting a GMK set in 1 quarter? Like, is it positive thinking? Maybe, but that could be
I
massive.
it, I'm sure. I'm like, if that could happen, that'd be really good. Um, it just seems like very drastic. But I'm gonna root for. Fuck it, I'm gonna root for it if
Exact.
that is the truth. Uh, I think the other thing too, in terms of wait times right now, is a lot of people don't know, but there's chip shortages for PCBs, right? So we might be seeing either more expensive PCBs because of this chip shortage, or delayed group buys.
It's kind of scary because like right now everything there's a shortage on everything. There's a shortage on aluminum, like
Wood,
lumber, like wood, lumber.
lumber, yeah.
Exactly, lumber costs are insane right now. Like there's a shortage on the world, and it's kind of like we're starting to see the effects just in this hobby, for instance, and it's affecting everything else.
Well, we're also
It
seeing the effects of what overpopulation, like an overpopulated world is.
overpopulation, and then like the world shutting down for
Yeah.
pretty much everything shut down for like 3 months, and then like Germany keeps shutting down. That's a big thing with GMK right now. They keep going into
Australia shut down.
lockdowns.
Yeah.
Australia shuts down like once every 2 weeks, I think, for a couple days just to clear it out. But it's still not good. They have to stop and start over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about vendors like Kinetic Labs making more budget-friendly keycaps that aren't as big in novelties as colors, but in stock and constant? That it's exactly what the hobby needs. Like people always complain because it's like one step. I've already talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago with the wonderful Liz Kits, but we don't want to advocate for people buying clones, but when you have people that aren't like more casually in the hobby, when they see $40 keycap sets, Tim Ryan, thank you for subbing, I appreciate it. But when you see people, the problem is like these people who don't care as much when they're seeing $30 keycap sets, they're probably gonna opt for it. Where now Kinetic Labs, who is what I believe 40-50 bucks for polycaps, um, like they're making an active push to like make their keycap sets more available. And you're seeing a lot of games like
Yeah,
PBT.
which is a good thing. Like we want to see more variety in vendors, right? Like competition is very important. Um I think a lot of people also lose sight of that for content creation, but in the world of retail, you need competition. Like if we didn't have competition and GMK was the only way to get keycaps, then guess what? We're all sitting here just like we'd have to sit here and bite our tongues while 2 years go by and GMK sets are being made. But that's the lovely thing about competition. If more people, if GMK sees, not, I don't know if they care, but like if they see a decline in orders or a decline in people going with them for their keycap sets versus their competitor, then they're going to look at that. Like that's the beauty about competition, right? That's why we need to embrace like other things and other companies that are trying their best to do things.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, I've been like throwing this out like this hypothetical, but like imagine what happens when there's a company like it's all it takes is somebody I suppose that cares that has I guess the money to fund this, but imagine someone who sees a market for high quality ABS keycaps and decides to start their own competitor GMK that can get enough machines to run it a quarter of the time for I don't know like half the pro like you're like all hypothetical, but like imagine what that would like if that what kind of if that would light any kind of fire to GMK's ass to try to compete. Like, there's no real competitor. I feel like for I guess right now the title that GMK holds too, because I think there is a bit of like clout behind it as well.
Yeah, God, that's another thing too.
It's a whole can of worms that I feel like we could go on for about for hours about like
Well,
on its
dude,
own.
the clout thing with keyboards.
It's a
Oh God,
thing. It's a thing that's
this is a
it's
long conversation.
the problem is like not to we won't get too deep into it but it's like I feel like that is like something that's like comes with growth in any hobby like it happens with sneakers, it happens with records, it happens I've seen like those are just the two hobbies like I'm interested in outside of this, but like I've already like I feel like in the last year it's something that's like really happened with keyboards is like and I feel like it's you see it a lot more with like people who are just kind of getting into it and just are just in it very temporarily for the cloud because like you said like keyboards have grown a ton in the last 12 months and I think
Yeah.
everyone wants the hot.
And actually, I want to go what Snoop said. I'd love to hear both your thoughts on tech waste in 10 years from now. Think of how many people will have moved on from needing 10 keyboards. I think it's interesting. But I also want to point out that I think in the even in like the audio world, even in 10 years, like no one's really tossing away their keyboards unless something happens. Like in audio, like old headphones are usually collectibles. Just like in keyboard world, I think most of these would be collectible. Maybe not something like a Corsair or something mass produced to the point where it's, always available. People might, want to replace it, but I think a lot of these are collectible items. So I don't know how many of these will be thrown away, but I will say that in terms of maybe finding something more sustainable or some sort of like eco-friendly plastic, or looking into better packaging that's eco-friendly. I think that's probably the more easy thing to do right now. But I wouldn't know the answer, within 10 years. Maybe mechanical keyboards won't even be a thing in 10 years.
It's
Maybe your
crazy.
method of input would be different. Um, but there's lots of things that I think we can even do, that would help. I know we bitch and complain about the GMK trays, but
I was just gonna say like
yeah, like they've tried.
everyone loves to bitch about the G. I am the top person. I bash them every day, but at least they did make a attempt
Yeah,
to
yeah,
become.
and
I mean, it's way more eco friendly than the massive plastic trays that they had before. But
yeah, and if we push vendors and we push, well, not vendors, manufacturers, or even vendors, even our fellow community members, to maybe make a more conscious effort about wanting eco-friendly stuff.
I'm
But we're in a very weird hobby where we use plastic and metal, right? So it's a little tough. I don't know the right answer. I'm obviously contributing just as much as everyone else. But I don't know the right answer to that. But yes, I think that's a very good question. And I think that's a very like we definitely need to think of that. Because that's important.
but just because I do want to touch on these things. Not that I don't like. Trust me, like the amount of hours you and me have talked about keyboard stuff in general is
Yeah.
insane. Outside of this, but I do kind of like to focus on I guess like things I guess outside of keyboards because I feel like every person I'm friends with in this hobby, like obviously they're known for keyboards, but they have like talents, hobbies, etc. Like outside of it that
I have talents. Nice.
believe it or not, Alex, you are what I would say have a man of several talents.
Damn.
Like one being skilled photographer, excellent photographer. You are sweet basic builds, Mr. Ozzy, great photographers in the game. Three of my
Damn.
favorite photographers in the game. But I guess is there like anything that I guess like drew you to because you've been in photography for a while now.
Well, my start in photography in barely tribal, there were Sony IER Z1Rs. My start in photography had to be like when I was younger. My dad shot film, and then in high school, they had a darkroom, so I took photography and wanted to learn how to develop my own film. So I had a very early start, in my teens with cameras. Um, I've always loved product photography. I've always thought it was very cool to like set up a scene. Then I got semi into like landscapes and all that kind of stuff, and I've always been a bit more artistic. Um, I went through phases, and I found most of my passion at one point, which I grew very tired of, to go through like different cameras and just basically tech roll everything. Like I just was a very much a gadget person and a gearhead. Once I grew out of that phase, I got more into like the actual art of taking pictures again. And then I actually worked for a company doing product photography for about 4 years. It was very basic product photography, just like white backdrop, etc., proper lighting. Then I got into keyboards, and that helped me explore a lot more of my creative side, um, while allowing me to kind of look into gear, and while allowing me to like learn more about lighting and what makes a good photo. And I think in a lot of ways too, I'm very grateful that I have a larger platform like on its Instagram, because it lets me see like which photos the majority of people like. Obviously, I still shoot for myself, but if I know something's like, wow, okay, this particular thing that I shot for myself works better, maybe I can take another two photos like this.
It's good to know,
Um,
like, I guess, like, what
yeah,
people look for. But
yeah,
I feel like I'm in a similar way. At least like with like keyboards. Um, I was like my big thing was street photography,
yeah,
which wasn't exactly a thing the last 12 months, 12, 15 months. So my Instagram kind of died for a couple months there. Like there was just nothing. There was nothing for me to post. Like at least that like the specific Manoli visuals ones. I'm not going out in the middle of the pandemic. Obviously, no one's out to take pictures of anyway.
yeah.
And then I started. I'm like, I wanted to kind of like keep my like aesthetic, but like keyboards like gave my Instagram an entirely new life. Um, it like literally like, just gave it like a breath of fresh air. Like I am looking forward to like starting to go out and like do street photography again, not just make my Instagram about keyboards, but it's like interesting how like and I we spoke with Basic about this too, the same thing, but it's kind of like cool how you can make like with something like photography and videography, you can make your worlds collide.
Yeah, it's very fun. Like even the video stuff, I've never shot video before. This is the very first time. Like I'm very much still in the process of learning it. Um, but it's very cool. Like, and I think there's a lot more. And you mentioned it this morning. There's a lot more to the hobby than just keyboards that I think we all kind of lose sight of. For me, it's, one of the big things was photography and being creative and exploring that creativity. I think another thing would be the community and the people here. Um, the amount of stuff that I've learned as a human being, or like been able to talk about enough that I started practicing what I preach a lot more, is pretty insane. Like I don't think anyone here is perfect. But I think that this is one of the nicer communities in my long experience of trying to find, I guess, a spot that I belong into. Um, and Venom says, "Oh, hearing Gearhead makes me think of everyday carry. What is normally in your pockets or backpack on a daily basis? Right
Ooh, I
now,
like that
nothing.
question.
But back in the day, it was a Sony Ace. Well, when I was shooting street stuff, it was a Sony A7R2 and just a 55 millimeter lens. And then before that, it was like I had a 24 to 70 Nikkor lens that I would just use for everything.
Do you have? Is there anything else you carry on you? Like I'm a big, like I'd say like when I would go out shooting, it would always be. So I've been using a Canon 80D since I graduated college, so like 4 years now. 18 to 135 is pretty much the only lens I use now, just because it's so versatile. Like I like it kind of like it's not the best because it kind of turns into a wide angle for certain shots, but I just love that like you can just use that lens and have it for anything, at least like on the spot. But like I always keep a journal on me. I'm adding in it's lighting me up right now, but I got the I know you have one too. I think the little guys, little aperture lights.
Oh yeah, I
My
don't know where
like
mine is. Yeah.
I plan on never leaving. Like when I go shoot, like just having that on me for like any particular reason. Um, yeah, like always like a journal and notebook is like a must for me at all times. But is there
Yeah.
anything like that, or is it just the
No,
camera
man.
and you
It's
roll?
it was a camera, a backpack, maybe some shades. Like I had one of those Peak Design mounts that sits on your backpack that you just like strap on and you just leave on your chest. But a wallet, a cell phone, that's it. I
The
wouldn't carry
usual.
nothing else. I'm not. I don't pack a lot. I don't like carrying things at all. Like I hate it. So even my wallet, I've turned from, using one of those normal flip wallets to one of those minimal wallets where I carry 4 cards, 5 cards. I hate it. I don't know how like much respect to all the people who wear like purses and big backpacks and fanny packs full of shit. I can't do that stuff. That's too much for me.
See, I'm like the other way around. Like I went away this past weekend, 2 days, 2 nights. I overpacked by a mile. Like I overpack in every aspect of my life. I've tried the minimal wallet, couldn't do it. I can't get rid of enough like anything. I think I'm just like I like being over prepared. I
See,
don't
for
know
me,
what
it's
it
not even
is.
for me, it's like thinking of ways to condense things. And I think I've had to live that way because like even this room, like I sleep, I work, I take photos, everything needs to be condensed. And I think I just have always lived that way where it's like I try to make my little footprint as small as possible so I don't bother other people.
See,
That's basically how I live.
I should take notes on that because we're planning on moving apartments in the winter, and holy shit, this is gonna suck. I have too much stuff, so that is
Giuseppe
definitely something
Strongbow,
I need to
put your
take notes
fucking
of.
name
Thank
in
you,
the
Pizza Force.
gabagool of fire.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't have anything at all. Like other than what's in this room and I think some desk pads downstairs, that's it. Some what few switches. Everything has been like in this room. And honestly, like, there's some stuff in this room that I don't even need. I don't even use. I don't even know I have. But this is all I have really.
eh, I gotta take. Listen, we'll talk. I'll get you more. I'll send you the stuff I don't want, so we can kind of like balance it out. We'll be like a
Oh
nice
yeah,
happy
please.
medium.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Um,
Please, please.
well, specifically with photography, but I guess actually I'm curious to hear with keyboards too. But I want to start the photography. Is there anyone that like kind of like got you into it? Like, is there? I guess your dad. You kind of already said was like anyone that like got you into it, inspires you. You kind of like look at, um, or like I guess like got like dug a little deeper into things with.
Not really. I wouldn't say there's anyone who got like other than like my dad. Like there's no one I really looked up to and tried I know a lot of artists what they'll do is they'll find like a good photographer and then try to like duplicate and replicate and put their own spin. Um but for me it was very much like I might have looked on some websites for inspiration for things. But it's always been very much like, well, this looks pretty in my eyes. I want to take a photo of it. Now I'm starting to realize as I take photos, I'm like, well, this looks pretty in my eyes. How can I make this better with proper lighting? And I think that's the way I kind of look at it now. But there's been certain shots that I've been inspired by other people. Like I know nowadays it's like Aussie, Ninja Pirate, um, Bin even Basic's been a big one too for like how I would like my top down stuff. Like her lighting like really inspired me. Um, but the photos and stuff, especially these days, I've been just really enjoying like even using that big macro lens. The lady friend picked up for me. There's a lot of like things that I'm just like learning now, like using backdrops, all that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, I just been enjoying it like that, and it's interesting too because like I've seen other people take photos like just like the way I was doing on my desk, and I've always like, "Duh, like maybe I'm inspiring them or something." But I've since even moved away from desktop. I don't like even doing the desk photos anymore. I feel like everyone's been doing those, so I've just been moving on to like backdrops and like properly lighting things and like doing more of like editorial type shots in some cases, more
Sure.
pretty shots, like shots that look like renders, you know.
Ben had a specific one of her
Seven
7V
seven V,
that
that was
looked like
really
a
nice.
it looked the cream color, the
Yeah,
cream one with the
yeah.
the gun plug. It looked like I remember her showing you that, and I'm like, Ben, this looks like you could tell me it was a render and I'd believe you. Like it was one of the best photos I've ever seen. But I mean, like you because like I for a while there, like I was kind of just like taking angles of my keyboards with like on a desk mat that matched, or just like my tabletop, and it was just like feeling like I like real I'm like this is so stale. Like my photos have been like this for like 8 months. So like I was looking over yours, Ben's, Ozzy's. I looked at Ninja Pirates. He has really good photos,
He
but
has
like
good
the
stuff.
use of like I've like kind of like stretched out like trying to utilize props. The same thing with lighting, like trying to like manipulate things. Like I've been. It's interesting how you can like challenge yourself to make a piece of aluminum look as pretty as it can.
Well, people are afraid to use. I think a lot of people when they're doing these things, like they'll look at Instagram, they'll see what other people are doing, they use the same props, and then they'll go from there. Like one thing I think I noticed too is Cookie Curls does some really interesting photos.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it's very themed stuff. Now, again, like I really think it's really good work. It's probably something that I probably wouldn't take. Because I'm more into like it's like those shots are end up being like very there's a lot to look at. And for me, I like detail in a different way, but it's still really cool. And I think it's so different that it stands out. Um, but there's a lot of things you can do with photos that I think people are afraid to explore and experiment. And I think if I can tell you guys one thing, if you guys are taking photos, just experiment finding your own style. Like it'll feel so cool when you do. You
There,
know
like, there's this guy. I don't know if you ever heard of him. His name's Renee Marbum. Have you ever heard of Modern Notoriety, Alex?
what?
Have you heard of Modern Notoriety?
Instagram page?
Yeah, they're kind of like streetwear. They're more into like sneaker culture, streetwear kind of thing, like the Supreme. They make really good photos. It's kind of like I don't even know. It's like a blog. I think is the best way to put it. Um,
Modern notoriety.
yeah. Um, anyway, they have a. It's. I don't know. I don't know if he was a very big part of it. I don't know if he started it fully. Um, it's Oscar Castillo and Renee Marbum, but I really like Renee Marbum. He's a Chicago photographer. He's the one that kind of like really inspired me to get into street photography. But his style is like a lot of his edits are kind of like grainier, a little bit more washed out. It looks kind of filmy. And if
Okay.
you go back to my very beginning of my Instagram like 4 years ago, I was kind of trying to replicate it a little bit, and like over time, like I definitely like kept some themes from it, but like I kind of like let away. I like kind of like letting color show a little bit more now. Like I like kept like I guess like a little bit of the inspiration, but like over time, like seeing things branch out is kind of interesting. I think.
Well, and
I
that's the
guess.
thing too. Like even when I started doing street photography, I looked at like what was popular on Instagram as a whole. Not anyone particular, but it was like a very much like tinted orange and teal photos, and with very washed out whites, with very crushed shadows. So I was very much like, let me do the exact same thing because that's what other people are getting views with. But then I realized like, dude, wait, everyone's probably doing the exact same fucking thing, and that's when I just kind of started even with my photos being like my Instagram stuff, being my room photos and my keyboards, and I just kind of stopped looking at what other people were doing because I already had like the knowledge and how to take a photo, but I was like, let me just develop my own style. So,
I think it's fun to like I love going back. I'm sure you've done it too. I think every photographer does, but like one reason I like Instagram, besides the fact that they absolutely demolish your photo quality, is I think it's fun to scroll through. Like I'll go back to the beginning and I'll kind of like watch progression as you go.
oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'll look at photos like I was psyched about a year ago. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking?
no, it's true.
Like it's just fun, and that's just like the name of the game. That's just progress and like perfecting your craft. It goes. I do the same thing with YouTube videos. It's fun though, like in a good way.
Oh, completely. I agree with that.
Um, is there anything that I guess like drives you, like whether it be like any sort of like end game? I ask this every time, but like if there's any, like, do you have a pipe dream, like something like an overarching goal? I guess to an extent.
I mean, I think I think now the goal is before it wasn't. Now the goal is, hey, if I'm able to do this full time one day, I'd love to, but it's still so far off, like and so unattainable at this point here. It's like I can't. So it's not really a dream anymore. It's just kind of like if it comes to fruition, it will. Um, but I think like the other thing too is just to continue to build. Like I think I'm at a point now where it's like I can sustain myself. Um, as long as I can put food on the table, like I'm happy and put a roof over my head type thing. But if I can sustain myself, I'm happy. If I can spread a little bit of my knowledge and like what I think is morally correct to people, I'm happy. If I'm continue to be honest to myself, I'm happy. I don't think there's like a pipe dream in terms of keyboards. I think it'd be cool to maybe develop a keyboard one day, but I'm so like far off that, and just even the keycap stuff, like designing desk pads and stuff. I'm so far off and far removed from that scene, like the design scene, that I'm just more of a I think community is my thing. Like I think building community and like maintaining that's my thing. So I don't know. I just like taking pictures, do what I'm doing now, more of the same. Maybe some more YouTube videos in the future, but nothing really that drives me at the moment. Just continuing and finding routine in that and pushing myself visually. Like, the lighting now has been changed here. So
I don't think there's,
aesthetics in that sense, I guess.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, though, especially like just wanting to like focus on because like I feel like you've developed one of the best communities in this keyboard hobby, like without a doubt.
Thank
It's
you.
very like all around like you're one of very few people I'll like put on and like I call it like as weird as like podcast streams. Like when I'll be like
Yeah.
at work and I don't feel like listening, I'll usually like whether it be a VOD or anything like that, I'll just kind of throw it on. But like it's always positive in yours. Like even like you have your downstreams. I've had my downstreams. Like when I say
Yeah.
down, I mean like you're just like you're not 100% into it.
No,
I
yeah.
think it's just the human way. I feel like you still find a good way to like keep a positive outlook on things. You don't let it like kind of like drive you too much. Um,
Dude, but that's the thing. Like,
yeah.
that's one thing like, one honest thing that I do outside of stream is I have a tendency to like really beat up on myself. And while I probably show that in stream and, receive, kind comments and stuff like that, I tend to actually like, if I do get myself in a downward spiral off stream, I tend to stay like that, not for like a day or whatever, but I'd say for a good chunk of my day, I can stay in like one of those down periods. I've never really known how to get out of them other than just like breathing in time, which I don't think is a bad thing per se. But there's been nights where like I just don't stream where I I know I'm gonna be down, so there's no point in coming on stream and just bringing everyone else down, you know. But I think a lot of people don't know that is like off stream sometimes like there'll be days I'm just sad or frustrated and I just don't feel like doing anything. I'm a human being, you know. It's fair.
It's just the way, and it's good. Like it's having the discipline, which is something like you taught. Uh, I'd say you taught me this, but it was kind of like I was kind of like in a weird funk a couple months ago, and I've had and like since then I've learned like I've canceled streams. I'm not gonna say regularly, but I've definitely canceled streams where I'm not like feeling 100%. But it was kind of like a weird thing to take into mind at first. And you're like, when I was just feeling down, like, what do I do? You're like, you just gotta take a break. Like, it's okay to
Yeah.
like you don't know anyone anything. Like, if you're not feeling up to it and you think it's just gonna make like matters worse, or you don't think it's gonna help, don't do it. And I think it's knowing and having the discipline to pull back is really important.
Well, and I think what really matters for me is when I can see a content creator or anyone when they're able to recognize that, hey, I'm not mentally 100% here. If you can recognize that right away, then you're already one step ahead. And if you're able to say like, hey, I should take a break and focus on me for the next few hours because I've done this. I'm like waving around this fan remote. I've done this thing where I've felt down and I push myself to do things, and then things don't go the way that I, would ideally want them to go, and then I just get more down. So I'm just spiraling. So why don't I just stop the spiral and sit there and like think about things, right?
Like it was it's like fun. It's like funny how like simple it is, and it's like it really is like some things in life like it's just time. Like there is no cure for everything. Obviously, like when
Yeah.
you're feeling down. I remember I spoke with like some of my mods. I was going through a bit of a rough patch back in February, and they're like, "Listen, like do what you want. Like we're always gonna be here to support you." But I think like they told me, and I'm like happy I've surrounded myself with people that are like comfortable enough to say something. But like I think you've been really down. It affects stream, and I just don't think it's like healthy. I think you need to kind of like take like a half step back and I guess like cool down a little. You know, like take a break. There's nothing wrong with it because I think I think sometimes at least like people in this like in like the Twitch sphere, they feel like they have to keep going or else if you don't, you're just gonna fall behind. Where I don't think it's like that.
Um, I think in the sense of like content creation, it's like yes, if you have enough time where you're not doing things, you might fall behind. You might be replaced by the next big thing type thing. But I think there's room for everybody. I think right now the big trend in keyboards is YouTube content creators, which I've been told like I should probably switch, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna go make skits and stuff for keyboards. I'm not that type of person. If I did, I'd put myself in one of those miserable downward spirals. And by the way, Sean, we love you, dude. Thank you so much for even being here. I know you're having a down day, but dude, we all fucking love you here, dude.
Love you, Sean. Sean DePaul, baby. Comparison is the thief of joy. That's something I've talked with Alex about. It was
Yeah.
um it's a tough thing. There are people like in like the career paths outside of keyboards that I feel like it's a hard thing to avoid, but once you can kind of separate things, it's incredible what it can do for you.
Yeah, it's true. You can really just find how incredible it is for you too. And also, thanks to the Venom says Alex also has such a way of reading chat and moving the stream forward. Like it feels so natural to him. That podcast mode works so well. In a visual hobby on Twitch, it's always amazed me that I can know exactly what is going on with a watch him build. I think you know what that is though, Venom? I'm gonna be straight with you, dude. I Once I know how to do something like build a keyboard, I'm able to kind of do it on autopilot and just chit chat. And I've always been one to like answer questions. This sounds like super narcissistic, but I can talk about myself for hours. Um, and I can like answer questions about things that I do for hours. Like to me, it's like, I don't know, comes off natural. One thing I struggle with, dude, one thing I struggle with lately, and I think this is because of the fucking COVID thing. It has to be. Like, I wasn't always like this. I Now when I meet people, I like freeze up. I don't know what to say anymore. Like, if it's not keyboard related, I'm like, what do you like? And they're like, I don't know, let's just make something up. They're like, I like cloth. I'm like, I use cloth on keyboards. And it's just something like that.
Like, yeah, look at this foam. It's like going out for a drink. It's like, man, there's a lot of foam in this beer. It's like, what kind of neoprene? Like, what are we talking here?
Use a pour on.
I and I definitely get, and your streams like flow so well. I 100% agree with Venom there. But it's all like I definitely like there's something about like when chat is rolling that helps. I think like everything just it makes a stream just go by so much faster in a good way. I think like when chat is like flowing, there's conversation. I like it's the same way. Like I feel like I have like a habit of like talking about myself, and I think it's kind of the point with Twitch streamers. Like it is about you. It's your show. Um, it is funny though. Like, now that I've been going out with friends, I'm kind of like the opposite. Not that like I can talk about keyboards for quite literally days, but it's funny. Like I'll go out and like some of my friends, they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, tell me about keyboards," and I'll get like shy because like I don't know, like it's like weird. Like I'm like I don't know, it's cool. I build them, the pieces of metal. They cost way too much money. I've sunk way too much money into this god.
Let me
like
tell
I don't
you,
know I don't know what to say.
I know why you're shy about that. It's because keywords are so fucking nuanced that
It's
it's
so
hard
weird.
to explain all the stupid nuances.
It's
You'll be like, it feels soft and bouncy, and then it's like It's like you look at them and they're looking at you like, what? It's a keyboard, bro, and you're just like, I know.
it's like it's exactly that's a like I'll start going into detail about things, and like it always comes up with price too, because like I think every hobby like you're gonna hear that cost factor. Like people are gonna ask, and I'm not like shy. Like I'll tell them like. But I'm like, before I tell the person, I'm like, I just need you to know, like, I understand that this is weird and that it doesn't make sense and that it is borderline a problem. You're just gonna have to accept that, and then we're gonna be fine. But I'm like, but it is like not like anyone, no one. I wouldn't say zero of my friends are condescending about it anyway. Like none of them are like poking fun in like a malicious way or anything. But it's just like it's exactly what you said. It's so nuanced. It's like, how do I explain this? This like if I went back 12 months to talk to myself who was like just getting into keyboards, like I think I was into keyboards now 3 months in 2020 in July, I would like there'd be smoke coming out of my ears, like not understanding anything I'm talking about. Like it is even the people who are into keyboards don't even understand half the stuff. I feel like if you're not, unless you're like doing deep enough dives at a certain point.
Yeah, it's if I was to talk to myself when I was first getting into the hobby, I'd be like, there's more than just cherry switches, you know?
I didn't even know what a cherry switch was like a year and a half ago. Like that's like that. Like it's. I remember there was a meme. I'll never forget. Bread Mold sent it to me. It was like, "What stage are you at?" And it was like, "Cool Prevo keyboard." Stage 2, it was oh, I like tactiles. Stage 3, oh, got a loop switch and saber. Stage 4, I'm spring swapping. Stage 5, I'm swapping out entire like components that shouldn't be in this. Like it's like how deep into this. And
Yeah,
I remember
it's true.
thinking, I'm like, why the hell would I ever spring swap? I'm like, it's like the whole point of buying certain switches for the spring weight. And now I'm like, TX long springs, sprit
Well, it's because
springs.
yeah, and like again, there's the nuance of like, oh, I like this house, and that's what I mean. Like, it's so nuanced that like the deeper you get, but this is even with the audio hobby. Like when people are like, why'd you buy $3,000, headphones? I'm like, well, let me tell you, and it's just one of those things where it's like you either A, have to be willing to learn from like a listener's perspective or someone outside, or just be like getting into it yourself. I feel like if you're not willing or getting into it, it's kind of like pointless conversation, Why is there a
it's
potato? It's because that's me. I'm a potato.
I don't know what you're talking. That's there's like two of Alex on the screen right now. I'm surprised you know which one's which.
Yeah.
Placebo is the best drug anyway. That is aggressively true. I am a firm believer. There are differences, but I'm a firm believer. There's a bit of placebo in keyboards also, and I think this kind of goes
Yeah.
for. I think it goes for every hobby at a certain point. Um, but it
Yeah.
is definitely placebo plays a massive role in a lot of things.
I think the one thing that I really have been pushing recently, I even put this in one of my recent YouTube videos, like in the text. It's like, dude, I know we look at reviewers and stuff for like their point of view and obviously a review, but like people need to stop taking what content creators, like if your favorite content creator is, let's just say it's me, or let's just say it's Noli. I'll harp on Noli a bit. And he is like, whenever a Switch comes out, when Noli says you buy, like, stop, dude. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's not, you're gonna find something you guys don't mesh on, and then you're gonna hate him, and you're gonna think he's a liar. Like, people need to stop taking what content creators say as like word of law for these tech things. Half the times we have to remember that there's personal biases in these things. Like that's why I'm so, and I appreciate the keyboard hobby a little bit more for, but I'm so open about, hey, I like and I build for clacky keyboards. I build this way. So don't, whenever if I do a board that's clacky, don't be like surprised that I'm doing a clacky. Like, I like this. If I like a clacky switch, it's because I like clacky.
Well,
If
there
someone
was
likes a Thocky switch, they're not gonna like what I do.
I think it was I don't know if I think she heard it from someone else, but it was straight chroma. I think it was on Mechs on Deck months ago. I've never this never left my mind because like this is how I explain it to people in chat. If your favorite Switch is Cherry MX Blues, then that's the best Switch. It is all like there is no like obviously like such thing as a
Yeah,
best
yeah.
Switch and best anything. It's like if that is that your favorite, that's the best then. And if it changes, then that's the best. Like it's whatever you want it to be because you know that like there are people out there that absolutely love like clicky switches. There are people out there that love thocky switches. There are people out there that love clacky, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
And you know what, too, Sean, I totally agree with you on that point. There is a large part of why you'd watch a review is to look at that person's bias. But I think the problem from like a content creator standpoint is there are people, I keep dropping things. There are people who will try to insert themselves as the most knowledgeable content creator, and then they want what they say to be like governed as higher than normal. So that's the scary part about it, and there are people who blindly follow that, right? So that's why I'm just saying, like, for anyone who maybe has that, or like, I follow this person to a T, look around. There's tons of different cool people that have different perspectives and biases towards things that might change your mind on something.
What's the difference between clacky and clocky? Clocky's kind of high pitch. Clocky tells time.
It's
I'm
true.
here.
Yeah.
I'm here all week. I'm here all week, guys. Quite literally.
Not bad, dude.
I actually did want to thank you. I did want to ask out of curiosity. Were you a big Lego kid?
I had Lego. It wasn't huge on it.
So like I was like I feel like that's half the reason I like keyboards so much. Like I don't like hot swap builds, and it's nothing to do with like a sound or feel thing. It's because I like soldering. I like building things. Like really like putting everything together. And I think I think an addiction to Legos at like age 6 has like slowly tumbleweeded into this, which is the most aggressive form of Legos I could find. I think. Um,
Yeah, I think for me
it's
it
something I
was
was
like,
just curious of.
remember Connects?
Of course,
Yeah, I think that was more my thing.
do keyboarders ever
Connects.
track transmitters? to their keyboards so they can spy on which websites the keyboard users are going to, copy credit cards. If they can, that's out of my pay grade.
Yeah, I don't know anything
I
about
have to
that.
go to people for help just to get hex files done if something's incorrect. That's out of my pay grade if people are doing that.
Yeah, that's above me, dude. I don't know about that one.
Oh my. Same here from Gunplas to keyboard. So like that's like one thing I think Yura and Bin were the first ones that I was seeing doing, like I'm sure there's others, but they were the first people that are like, oh, let's do Gunpla on stream too. Like I have a DeLorean model that I've been meaning to build for like months now. I still plan on, just I'm waiting for the day I decide to stream it. But like I think it's like something I've definitely like really noticed in this hobby, especially like people are kind of like branching out a little bit. Like they're not just on keyboards. Like I think it's like kind of nice, honestly. Like I've like enjoyed, like I've been tuning into like Liz and Ben have been playing video games together on stream, and I think that's fun.
Dude,
Like the Gunpla streams were
yeah.
fun. Like stuff like that, I think is like very
Dude,
good.
I want to get into playing games. I did it once or twice and like I enjoyed myself, but right now just like working full time, even now, dude, like so I streamed for 2 hours, which is not a big deal for some people. But dude, even during like the middle of that stream, I think people can see it in my eyes sometimes. I'm exhausted. And the only days that I'm streaming where like even now I'm like literally yawning like crazy. The only days where I'm not tired are Sunday afternoons. And that's where I'm like, there's that little part of me who's like, maybe one day I'll get to do this during the day and not be sleepy so I can show people my more energetic self. But it's you 90% of the times you guys are seeing like sleepy Alex. So
It's tricky. Like I refuse to. I think at one point, like when I first started, I mean you as well. You were god tier, Mr. Fortnite. I saw those snipes. I've seen those clips, sir.
I was good at I don't dude, I can't okay, you know what? I'm still gonna stick by I think I'm good at games, just not Valorant. I'm not good at Valorant for
Well,
whatever
this is like,
reason.
well, this is like my thing. One, I'm just not good at Valorant. First off, but I've definitely like banned myself from playing competitive games and shoot. I would if I do game streams, which I used to do like once a week. Um, I'm only doing one player games like story. Those are also my favorite. I don't like play too many competitive like style. Like I like story based games. Um, but yeah, no, I don't know. I was doing Valorant streams for a little bit, and once I realized I was getting like physically frustrated, I'm like, I can't do this on stream because I'm gonna throw my mouse across the room, and then we're gonna have a big issue ending stream.
There's only two games in this world that I've actually got audibly frustrated and annoyed at, and that is League of Legends and Valorant, both made by Rito Games. Fuck Rito Games, dude.
they were I'm convinced they have a partnership with like Corsair and Glorious that they just like they build their games so people break their mouses and keyboards so they go buy more. On that note, I've never broken a peripheral, just to get that out there. I've never physically broken a peripheral.
Dude,
Probably.
okay, I've never physically broke one, but my final mouse died on me the other day.
What are final? Are those like the really bougie ones, or is that different?
I don't know. I was given one to me, but it just died. It just
I feel
doesn't
like
work anymore.
I feel like I've heard of them. My whole problem is like I get one thing and I end up like okay, not including keyboards, but I got an event, an Extrafy mouse, like a gaming mouse. I went to an event last year in New York before COVID, and that was my mouse forever. And then I got my MX Master 3, and I don't even know, like I can't keep up with like anything else because this is all I like. So I've never like I just don't know the difference between like any other mice at this point.
Yeah.
Like I game with this, which is probably terrible, but I don't care
I mean, I,
enough.
I game with my MX Master these days. I have one more wired mouse that I've been using as backup, but
Honestly, that's the the Extrafy, the wired one, because for some reason I need that. I am like looking forward to the day where I build my new PC. I think something's up with my blue. I've tried uninstalling and reinstalling my Bluetooth drivers 100 times. Like
yeah.
every so often, it'll just fully disconnect all Bluetooth. So I have to take out the mouse, reconnect it, and then do the same thing with this.
Yeah, it do be happening. That's
Man,
all.
it really do be like that.
Do be happening like that.
Same. I'm on my third Razer Chroma mouse. Just
Jeez.
has an extra button on the bottom. I love the highest
Jeez.
price on the nicest mouse in our mouse review is what we would spend on Switches alone. Wow. I've
True.
never. What's fun? Like it's bad in like a hobby like this where Switches are like, oh my god, Switch is so cheap, and it's like, dog, you're still spending 100. But I have too many Switches. Like I've like had to banish buying Switches. Like there's so many I've passed. I think I'm trying to think. There's like I don't I've passed on a ton that I'm like you don't need anymore. You have too many. Start using the ones you have because there's no use in having a Switch collection. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even buy Switches with that intention of starting a collection. But the way I'm not using them, it's definitely becoming one.
It's tough, dude. I'll tell you that much. It's definitely tough. Like you start getting so much stuff, and it's just like, ugh.
There was I feel like everyone, at least maybe when they first get into the hobby or first really get into the hobby, I think everyone Thurman Goat would like to disagree. Thurman Goat's about to break through my window. Just rob me dry. Um um like did you ever go through this? I went through it was the fall. It was the fall like going into December last year where I went on an absolute like impulsive binge buying keyboard related things, switches, keycaps, boards, everything. And I regret easily
No,
half my purchases.
I went through a binge of buying mech market boards, but I was just so into keyboards, and I would pick up ones that were unbuilt, and I don't regret any. The only one I might slightly regret is the Matrix Noah. But I actually gave that to the winner for one of the emote contests. They wanted it, and I was like, okay, cool. Um,
Well, if I can ask, if you don't mind me asking on here, what I feel like I've heard so many negative things about the Matrix Note. Like, what happened with it? You're not the only one that I've heard like not a
it's
fan of.
stock wise. I mean, most Matrix boards are like this, to my knowledge. They're just hollow sounding. Like I don't know, it's just not that good.
I remember
I didn't like it.
I remember I was really into the design of it,
Stiff,
and I
very
had talked.
stiff. Dude.
It wasn't just you. I'd heard from enough people to where it got me off of wanting that board.
Yeah.
But continue on with what you're saying. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, it's just stiff, and I wasn't very. I didn't really like it. Wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, you know what it'd be like that. It's preference. I'm sure there's someone out
Yeah,
there that think it's
totally.
end, and there's someone out there that. And there you go. There's someone out there that's definitely their end game.
Oh yeah,
There's usually more than one person.
that's the truth, right? So
Is there I'll end this and then if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. But is there any sort of like passion projects? I know you've kind of like said of like maybe like a keyboard in the
mm,
future. Like, is there like anything else? Do you know what kind of keyboard you want to make? Is there anything I guess that is
the only thing I want to finish right now is I want to make. I really like that Minify, like this whole gradient style. What's it called? Theme that I've been going on with like Minifying this mouse. So I was thinking about doing something like keycap set too for
that'd be
Minify.
if it's anything like I'm very weird on gradients. I'm picky. Like I loved Aether.
Yeah.
I think that's Gradient done well. I think Cat Great Wave did Gradient very well, but then you see other sets that can't really pull it off. Like
Well,
not to name any, but like you like it's kind of a tough thing.
what I mean is like single key gradient colors.
Oh, okay.
So I was thinking about doing like an enter key with these and like an escape key. Like I need to figure out how that even works and like if that's doable and
So not even a full
consistent.
set. So not even a full set. You think like you're talking about
Oh
like
no, I want to
individual
do a full
keys?
set, but then like
Gotcha.
the individual keys with the that's where the gradients would be. So not like a Aether gradient. It'd be
Where
like
it's
a
like
white
individual
keycap
key.
set. Yeah, with gradient stuff.
That'd be cool.
Kiwi, I will hit you up, dude.
I can help with that keycap. I lied. I actually do have one other question. Kiwi's the only one I haven't asked this question to, because we literally we didn't even realize the stream hit an hour last week, and like we're like, oh, we gotta wrap this up. What is one piece of advice you were to give to your younger self? If you go back to
Um,
16-year-old Alex, what would you say to him? Even younger, who cares?
don't okay, this sounds really cynical, but like don't fucking stress about the people that I thought were my friends.
I don't think it's cynical. Because I would give myself that same advice.
Yeah, like just don't stress about those people because I think I spent so many years just stressed about maintaining like the little bit of people that I thought were my friends. Don't stress. You're gonna make new friends. Just you'll make new people. You'll meet new people that'll be way better than those fucking people. That's all.
Is that's the first I've talked to other people like outside of this podcast and in general. That is I've never heard anyone like point that out, and it's very true. I think that it goes for a lot of people. Even like the people you think you're close with, like it's okay to like distance yourself. Like you don't have to be as close. Like you don't have to be best friends with everyone forever. And I
I'm
think it's
not.
like
I certainly am not.
it's no.
I think people have this like ideology, and even with family, that like there's like this. connection that once you've established it means that you are now going to be doing their bidding, like, and you can veil it under this thing where it's like, well, my best friend asked me this, or like my family member asked me, and it's family, like, oh, they're my best friend. Who cares? Like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Like, if you feel like this is not, you're not comfortable with something, then don't do it. Like, I think, dude, this is one thing I can get super passionate about. I think there's this weird concept of respect that people mistake for fear. Um, Especially when it comes down to like, hey, you need to respect that I don't like want you to do, even though this doesn't affect me in any single way. Like, for example, I always use this as an example. Parents, when they go like, hey, my 20-year-old son who wants to get tattoos, if you get tattoo, you will be kicked out of the house. So it's like, coming from me, who I didn't care, I just got one. But I've seen friends who have like been feared and like scared into not getting one because of like judgment from their family. And I
Can I
guess
get a
like my
tattoo?
my answer to that is, like my answer to that is like, yes, I get it. Like, you should like listen and debate and discuss with family members and friends. But if someone's telling you that, hey, you can't do this because just cause, like, you're stunting someone else's creativity and like wanting to learn and try new things. Like, if you keep saying no, 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 then they're just going to rely on you to make those decisions for them. And I think it's really sad.
I
And I,
get
and I
that.
get it. There's some people who are like, there are people who passionately fucking disagree with me, will tell me like, no, Alex, like, you don't know what the word respect means. Or you're like, um, I've had people say like, well, it's their house. What the fuck does the house, like, in the tattoo aspect? Like, what does the fucking house have to do about anything? Like,
I
what respect are we talking about here? So if I ask my parents to not do something because it bothers me, like, does that mean instantly, without question and fail, they have to listen to me? I thought respect was supposed to be like a two-way street, in respect, not just for parents, but like friends as well. And I think that's one big thing that I wish I knew growing up too, that it has to be a two-way street to fully respect someone. It's not one-sided. One-sided is not good, you
I think
know?
it's like respect is also a very relative term. I think everyone kind of has their own, like, as weird as that sounds, like, I think everyone, there is no like across the board line of respect, I feel like.
No, it's like
And
anything, right?
like, I don't know, like, I would say some of my friends are respectful to their parents, but like, I mean, like, we grew up like Mediterranean, like, parents are built a little different in this ethnicity, I'd say. So
Yeah.
like, it's interesting. I 100% agree, honestly. But I think though I definitely heard that same spiel from my parents about you. We're gonna kick you out if you get a tattoo. I don't think that's what stopped me. I think my problem is I can't decide what I want for lunch most days, let alone something I want on my body for the rest of my life, and I'm not ready to commit. But
Yeah, and I think that's such an interesting thing too. Like, little quick side note about tattoos and stuff too.
can you
It's
give me
kind of
one?
like, I can give you one, buddy. I
Can
don't
you
have my
get
glove
that?
here.
Ah, it's okay.
Um, growing up too, like, I've always heard the whole like, it's gonna be on your body forever. But in a lot of ways, it's kind of like, who cares, man? Like, you have memories forever, for the most part. What's something on your body? Like, I don't get, like, I don't really understand like why that's such a fearful thing. Like, it's kind of cool to look back on something, whether it be a mistake or, whether it be like, oh, you got a picture of like a lime on your arm and now you regret it. It's like, who cares, man? Like,
It's a good
it's a funny
story. At
story.
the
Fun
exactly.
story.
I think if you get a good story out of anything, then it wasn't a bad experience. If you can get a good story, I think most things are worth it. I shouldn't say most things, but a lot of things that you might be afraid of.
And then thanks to the Venom says, respect in our generation has changed a lot. It used to be respect no matter what. But the thing is, I think people honestly, Venom, and I think this is kind of like my 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 thing where I'm slowly starting to kind of maybe see this way. I'm still looking at it from different angles myself, but I think the old version of respect was definitely came from a place of fear. Like, fear me because I said this, or there will be consequences if you don't listen to me this in this way. And again, I'm talking about situations that don't affect the other party at all. For example, like, if I was Manoli's dad and I saw him drinking all the time, I would definitely say like, "Hey man, that's not fucking healthy for you." In a lot of ways, right? But I think if it's something like Manoli wants to try his hand at like doing a podcast after work, and I'm annoyed at him because I don't like the idea of a podcast, then I'm just stunting his growth as a person. You know, like, why the hell would I want to do that for?
This this is a funny story, and I don't know if he's listening. I don't know if Papa Noli is here listening. He lurks usually, but I remember I told this story on stream when I first got into this hobby. First off, I had to 100% lie about how much I was spending on that first keyboard, because if I told them that like I spent $40 on the keyboard, they would have slipped. My parents would have lost their mind. Like 26, my parents would have lost their mind, or 25, 24, whatever. Because I'm gonna be honest. I feel like it's a very insane thing to hear for the first time. Like, you spend how much on a keyboard?
Yeah.
But he's like, he was like a little like, he was definitely like making some comments. He's like, really, you're gonna stream? He's like, you're gonna take time. He's like, what's gonna happen with this? And like 3-4 months later, when it was kind of getting a little bit of progress, he's like, okay. He's like, I take it back. I'm sorry. And it was just funny. Like, don't always like. I think it's good to, if you think if you trust your parents' opinion on things, I think it's good to listen to an extent, but don't let it run your life. It works out for you.
Well, yeah.
They don't know everything. They don't know everything is the best way to put it. Not that it's like saying don't like have respect and don't look at their opinion, because they have been through a lot, but they're not 100% on things.
Yeah, and again, this opens up a much larger conversation, but just talk with those people. It should never just be a catch-all, respect me or else type thing. And that's the advice again. One of the other pieces of advice I'd give myself as a younger adult, or a younger teenager, would be just talk about those things. Question why, because I missed out on a shit ton of fucking things. Just listening blindly, going, okay, I guess so, because I'm not supposed to. But
I think it's just good. Opening the question, like the dialogue, is important.
Yeah. Calmly talk about it. That's all, though. That's all I have for today.
No, I think that's good. I think we can. We're over a little bit. I appreciate you coming on here, man.
No worries, man.
Listen, I know you're sick of talking to me by now, but I do really appreciate you taking time being on here, guys. Please, if you do command guest, you can check out some info in the link to Mr. Alexotos' Twitch. He also has his own podcast. If you guys haven't heard of it, I'm sure you have. On Sundays, but seriously, thank you so much. Is there anything like you'd want to talk about? Anything you wanna throw out there? Plug. We do love plugs here.
No. Pick up Evil Eye, GMK Evil Eye. That's basically it. I don't really got much. I'm just taking pictures and shit. That's all.
Make sure you follow him on Instagram. One of the best IGs in the game. This guy's got a wholesome Twitter. I wake up, I'll go on Twitter. I'm like on the subway into work. It's like, hey, hope you have a great day. He's just tweeting out into the open. I'm like, you know what? I will have a great day, Alex.
I'm gonna retweet that tomorrow morning. Make sure you read it too. I'll tag you.
Just tag me. Good morning to everyone who. Good morning to Manoli visuals and Manoli visuals only.
Yeah, everyone else. Also have a good day though.
Just a link or the response to is like, everyone else can also have a great day.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, thank you so much though. I really do appreciate you coming on. I'd love to have you on again in the future.
Sure, dude.
Maybe I'll crop out the white background on the. I'm gonna do one of two things. I'm either gonna crop out the background, or I'm gonna add in more fake. What's it called? Not thumbnail. The copyrights. Watermarks. I'm gonna add on like fake watermarks to make it look more. Yeah. I'm gonna make it look maybe pixelated, deep fried a little. Maybe make it a French fry.
Do it. Why not?
We got options here.
Yeah, do it up.
Oh my. But guys, I think we're gonna go raid the wonderful Miss Liz Kits. She's building a duck board right now, the duck macro pad. One thing I do actually kind of regret not getting because it looks fun.
I didn't get one either.
It's cute. I'm a you know me. I'm more of a sucker for aesthetics and like a good gimmick on anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Alex, thank you again so much. You're amazing as always. It's to be expected. Big brother of the hobby. I'll get my hair cut short. We can go as Mario Luigi for Halloween. It's gonna be a blast.
Let's do it.
We just gotta get the borders open. Should be easy. I'm gonna go talk to Biden.
They're open now.
Oh, we are. Oh, they are open. Oh, we're good. I was gonna be like, go talk to Biden and be like, hey man, you gotta do it to him. We gotta get the boys back together.
They're open. We got this.
We can make this work. But yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, man.
Love you, man. Next stream Thursday at 8 p.m. Building a Melody 65. Should be a fun time. Navy. But right now, go show Liz Kid some love. I appreciate y'all for coming. And as always, cheers, my friends. Thank you guys so
Take care,
much.
everybody.
Alex, thank you. Talk to you guys
Bye.
soon. Have a good night.